One. What's going on, everyone? This is the My Aggie Nation podcast. I'm Travis Brown with the Eagle, myaggienation.com, all the above. I'm here with Zach Taylor, who on these Zooms, because he doesn't have a webcam, is always wearing the same shirt. So I hope you've watched that since then.
It's the tried and true. It's my lucky shirt, so you don't wash your lucky shirt.
That's good. That makes sense. That makes sense. But more importantly than us, we're very pleased to have former Texas A&M tight end Tanner Schorp on here with us to talk all things Aggies, and let's just jump right into it, because I know we were kind of talking about this while we were waiting for Zach to get on here. Florida's game that you're going to always remember when you played back in 2017, right?
Yes, it is. Every year when we're about to play Florida, I start getting pictures in our group text or, from old guys that I used to play with of it's a picture of me in the end zone actually hushing the crowd at the, with the football in my hand, referee in the background, doing the touchdown signal, and only to find out that it was actually a flag, and Christian Kirk was lined up offside. So, he had however many touchdowns, 20 touchdowns that season. He couldn't give me one. So I usually let him hear about it at least, once or twice a month, just like, hey man, I know you just got a signing bonus or whatever, but I could have scored in the swamp and saved the day. Maybe just throw me a couple grand or whatever. But no, it's funny, man. People will send me that picture and just like, what could have been, but at least we won. So
does the value of that touchdown go up about every 3 or 4 months
with
Christian?
Yeah, exactly. Every
Inflation.
year that he's in the league, it increases. So whenever he retires, then we'll sit down and kind of drop a contract or something.
Yeah, some of that severance pay. Yeah.
Well, let's start out now that we've gotten that out of the way. A&M plays Florida this week at home, a game that they weren't necessarily thinking they were going to have to face this year, but then coronavirus happened, all SEC schedule happened. First 2 games of the season, a little bit of a roller coaster for A&M. I know you're always keeping track of the team, watching the games. What's your initial reaction to how A&M has opened up the season against Vanderbilt with a win and a loss at Alabama?
Yeah, so starting with Vandy, man, it looked kind of undisciplined to me. I know guys were kind of, trying to get the rust off and stuff like that. But, I mean, we just had too many penalties. And, coming from Coach Banks, who he's the special teams coordinator now at Alabama, he was my tight ends coach and special teams coordinator at A&M. So I pay attention to special teams and stuff like that. And, I mean, we've got guys that are taking it, 6 yards out of the end zone, and that punt return where he was backpedaling, catching it in the end zone. And then we had that illegal block. It's a safety. It's 5-7 now. Just little stuff like that. Guys are diving for, to catch punts. That's the kind of stuff that's going to come back to bite you in the butt at some point. And, so, I mean, Vanderbilt, obviously you got an SEC win, but it was ugly. And then I thought the first half, or more importantly, the first quarter, I mean, we hung around with Alabama, and, we kind of showed the country that we could play with them. It was 14-14 after the first quarter. And then we just kind of fell off, the pick six, they go up 14. And then obviously that drop ball, was it Smith on 4th and 2?
Mm-hmm.
That drop ball. But honestly, just altogether, just being on the offensive side of the ball, I'm just kind of wondering what our identity is on offense. What we bring in Dickey from Memphis, who had a super explosive offense, and we've got Jimbo calling the plays, which I'm a fan of. I support him, but I wish we could kind of find our rhythm on offense.
Has it kind of surprised you that they've come out as flat as they have, at least especially Vanderbilt? The offense just looked like
it was surprising, man. I was expecting these guys to be running on all cylinders and just showing a little bit more emotion and excitement just to be out there. A lot of these guys a few months ago didn't think that they were going to play at all, and then you get a chance to go out there. And we had a couple fans in the stadium, and obviously on SEC Network, people were watching the game, and we just came out kind of flat and didn't seem, too sharp to me.
Seems like though when you get into the Alabama game, especially at the beginning, you look at that first drive, a lot of quick passes, a lot of first read passes.
Sure.
Um, seem like that's a good way to get Mond into that rhythm that maybe you were talking about, and the offensive line who gave up, I believe it was 5 sacks the year prior against
Mhm.
Alabama, just to kind of get in the flow of things. You take away some personnel penalties at the end of that drive, and that might actually be one of the best drives
No,
A&M
yeah,
has had this
absolutely.
season.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, in reference to coming out flat, I was talking about Vandy because we
Yeah.
we came out firing against Bama. I thought, we held in there, and then we just kind of tailed off towards the end of the first half. And once you get down to those guys, they're not going to let up. So the difference I saw just watching the game, obviously I'm not in the huddle anymore, but I mean, those guys at Alabama, they're coached on the offensive side of the ball. Those receivers are coached that when that ball's in the air and it's a 50-50 ball, those guys go up and grab it. I mean, some of those catches those guys were making were unbelievable. I mean, they go up and get the ball. I see some of our guys kind of, trying to throw out one hand or kind of do acrobatic or get a penalty, called on them. So, I mean, obviously Alabama's a whole different animal, but I thought we played well in the first half and gave ourselves a chance.
Yeah,
For
yeah.
better, go ahead, Travis. I'm sorry.
Oh, I was just gonna say too. I know a lot of the conversation now is talking about, and you mentioned it with Daryl Dickey's Memphis offense. Those
Mhm.
explosive plays, kind of getting outside of that little box that the offense seems to play in. W- I know you didn't play for Jimbo, so you don't necessarily know his playbook. But how does A&M start bringing out some of those explosive plays? How do they
Well,
start
I mean, I
spreading out the
saw
offense?
I saw one of them firsthand. It looked like an old school. I mean, not an old school, but it looked like an old Memphis play when I'm forgetting his name. When 46 ran that little seam, they pump fake the wide receiver screen, and then he's wide open. I
Right,
plays
Ryan
like
Rennick.
that that just right
Hmm.
plays like that just kind of open up. I mean, some of the play calling I didn't really agree with. On that 4th and 2 when he dropped the ball. The first 2 plays before that, it's 2nd and 4. We run zone read to the short side of the field, no gain. 3rd and 4, we run the exact same play, short side of the field, zone read, and again, no gain. So I mean, just stuff like that. Just watching the game, from the outsider looking in, it's frustrating. But I mean, like I said, I trust Jimbo. I know that they're going to start opening up the playbook, but it's Alabama, and we're playing Florida this week. So I mean, it's not, it's a different year this year because you don't get a Lamar or a Texas State or UTSA or a game that you can kind of get your feet under you and get some confidence. You're right back into the mix of things. So it's going to be a challenge for sure.
Again, visiting with former Texas A&M tight end Tanner Schorp. Tanner, for better or worse, quarterback is usually the guy that's talked about the most. Even when your defense is having a bad game, it seems like there's got plenty of people talking about the QBs. So, from your perspective, how do you feel like Kellen's doing so far this year, and maybe some things you think he can improve on, and things he just needs to keep doing?
Yeah, I mean, me and Travis were talking about it before we started, man. I was in the huddle with Kellen, and he's a poised guy, and he's always he's always real reserved and focused on the game, which I loved about him. But I just kind of want to see him, open up and have some fun out there, man. In practice, he would always be slinging it around or laughing and pulling the ball and running and making plays. Like he's kind of like half joking, like the whistle would blow and someone wouldn't let him get touched. But I mean, he was having fun out there. I just want to see him kind of just take some of that pressure off of himself and just go out there and play ball, man. We all know that he can win games for us, and I mean, I've played with him and we've won games together, so I've been there firsthand. I just kind of want to see him open up a little bit and just have fun.
Yeah, because that was the conversation that we were having a little bit before that. Yeah, Kellen's not going to be Johnny. He's not going to be a Davy O'Brien
Right.
finalist. But in the SEC, you don't necessarily need a Davy O'Brien finalist to win ball games, and you just need a good game manager and a guy who can move the chains. And I've always thought Kellen could 100% be that guy.
For sure. Yeah, no, I think so too. Especially, our offensive line has been playing, I think, pretty well, and giving him time. So I mean, like I said, I just want him to cut loose, just get all that pressure, get all this stuff that we're all talking about. Everybody's saying, "Well, is he the right guy? Is he?" Just go out there and play, man. Have fun, and I hope he does that this Saturday at 11, man. I hope he just goes out there and cuts loose.
What do you see from Florida? I mean, they got a pretty good tight end over there as well. So they got a
Yeah, so
dynamic duo.
I brought some notes. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not a huge note, but yeah, 84. He's got 12 grabs for 227 yards and 6 touchdowns. This guy is the real deal, and he's gonna, just from what Alabama did to our secondary, they're gonna have all they can handle with this guy. He's the real deal. He'll be a first rounder, no doubt.
Zach, he came with more notes than we ever do this podcast.
We're just winging it, man. We're shooting from the hip all the time.
Yeah, I love it. Love it. Well, that's literally the only note I brought, is just
good.
that guy.
Still more than we brought. So yeah, on A&M side though, and I think we've talked about him before with you, but just have some more game experience. Jayson Weidermeier has stepped up and shown that he really, other than Anais, is going to be Kellen's best target right now. What have you seen from him and what he's been able to do at the tight end position?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, he's Kellen's primary target, I think. He has experience. He looks good. It takes at least 2 guys to bring him down. So, every ball that he's thrown, it needs to be his, because we've got some inexperience on the outside. So just having him, either come from the H-back position or from the slot, has been really helpful for Kellen, because he's kind of that security blanket. When his first read isn't there, second read isn't there, you always know Jalen's going to get open. So I've been really impressed by him. I mean, he's obviously a great player. I wish I was able to run routes like he did and be in space like that. But I was more obviously attached and in the trenches a little more. But yeah, no, he's been doing great, man.
Well, I think what we've learned from this podcast is if it wasn't for Christian Kirk, you probably would have been Kyle Pitts.
Right. Well, yeah, exactly. That was kind of my first. My incline was like this. That was my coming out party, and see Kirk had to ruin it.
We would have been saying Jay Sternberger who? I mean, it would have just been the tight end legacy would have been Dan Campbell, Jay Sternberger, and Tanner Schorp.
Mm-hmm.
The trifecta. Exactly. And Tanner, we might should have asked you about this before, but obviously you're not playing during the pandemic, but just with your job and everything else, how have you been able to traverse through this? And if you were a player, how do you think you'd be handling it right now?
Golly, man. So I live with 2 other guys. Christian Daimler, who played with us 1 year, he transferred from OU, and then another guy, Austin Hayes, who played at Oklahoma State. So we're all ex-ball players, and we've been working from home, and it's been weird, man. Since the second week of March, the first couple of weeks were like, man, this will blow over and we'll go back to normal, and that was months ago. So we're hanging in there, man. Everything's fine. Everybody's healthy. Luckily, knock on wood, we haven't had any positive cases in our house or anything like that. But going back to what you asked, we talk about it all the time. I mean, I can't imagine. It's gotta suck for these guys, because, they go out and beat Vanderbilt or whatever, they've been cooped up, and then, they beat Vanderbilt, and then they got to go home. They can't go out and celebrate with friends and family, and they can't, have the college experience like I did. We were going straight to Northgate and celebrating and having a great time. And, these guys they have to go home because they don't want, next week, they don't want to be that guy, which is, it shows you a lot that these guys are, mature, and they know that this is, a serious deal. And, I respect the hell out of them for it, because I would be going crazy.
Yeah. Not talking about A&M, but just in general across the country, you start getting 4 or 5 games, and I mean, everyone's bought in because they want to win and they want to have this season. But you get a team 4 or 5 games in who maybe has only won 1 game or something like that. do you think we might start seeing some more, because people are like, you know what, forget it, the
Well,
season's over
yeah,
anyway.
I mean, yeah, there's always going to be idiots out there that, that could be a fifth string, whatever, or some guy that's just not really bought in and they're 0-4. And he's like, you know what, I will go to the bars and I will go see my girlfriend at her house with all their friends or whatever. And that's what I'm saying. It takes one guy, and then you don't know next weekend if you're playing the week after that. It's a crazy time right now, guys. And I think that A&M and the SEC has been doing a spectacular job with this whole COVID-19 deal. Y'all probably hear about it more than I do, but as far as, how A&M is handling it, I don't think we've had any cases or anything like that in the past couple of weeks, and everybody's been, relatively healthy.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like from what we don't get a whole lot of information, but no one seemingly has been missing that many games, except for,
Right.
and something I want to pivot to for you real quick, something that of course you never had to deal with at the time that you were playing
Mhm.
was the idea of opt outs. How I know every locker room is different, and you necessarily can't speak for this locker room, but
Yeah.
you have teammates who decide that they want to. I mean, I guess it's not a whole lot differently than leaving early for some of the cases.
Right. Right.
How does a locker room typically handle that, and how do you come to some common ground on things like that?
Yeah, I'm kind of an old school soul. So stuff like that, it's changed dramatically, even with the transfer portal. It was nothing like that when we were playing. Guys it's like a free agency deal
Way
now. It's,
back in
"Oh, I'm
2017.
Yeah, exactly. It feels like forever ago, but now the transfer portal thing is huge. Guys can kind of go wherever they want and stuff like this. But opting out, man, I don't see it. I talk to guys, like I said, my roommates, my dad who played, and just football guys, and it's like, why wouldn't if you have the opportunity to play, why wouldn't you want to go play? Especially I know some of the guys, not just on A&M's team, but all over the country are saying, well, I'm going to get ready for the draft and I'm going to do that. Well, then play. If you want to get ready for the draft, put some film out there, go out there and play. I don't know. I don't agree with it, but everybody has their own reasons, and I can't make judgments. And like you said, I'm not in the locker room, so I don't know how those guys handled it. But yeah, if a guy doesn't want to play, then you're not gonna ever see me on the field with him. I know this is kind of going the opposite way, but I know Texas has that safety or whatever who quit the team the first game, and then now he's playing even more than he was. And I just don't understand stuff like that. If you want to quit the team, quit, and we're not going to play with you. I would never step foot on the field with that kid, but I don't know.
Just that old school mentality that Tanner Schorp already in dad mode here with us.
Yeah, man, I feel like I'm 40 years old talking to you guys. I get it. Everybody's kind of got their own schedules and their own, everybody's getting advice from everywhere. So, obviously I wish the best of luck for guys that opted out, and I hope they play 10 years in the league. But if it were up to me, I would just say, just play, man. Put some tape on.
So
Hey,
just
go ahead,
go
Zach.
ahead. Well, I was just wondering, kind of a behind the scenes, it wasn't that long ago that you were playing, and there were lots of social issues going on at that time, maybe not to the extent that they are now, but
Yeah.
did you guys ever talk about that amongst yourselves in the locker room? Did y'all talk about kind of what was going on around the nation? And I imagine Missouri, I think at that point was really a lot was going on there at their
Mhm.
campus. So did you guys ever discuss that amongst yourselves?
Yeah, we did, man, but it wasn't like it is now. Everybody's like, I don't know. I got to be careful here, because we would talk about it, but it wouldn't be so organized.
Yeah.
There's 105 guys in the locker room, and if something comes up, hey, let's all talk about it. And now there's marches and things like that, and stuff that is kind of like, it almost seems forced. Like, yeah, well, we've all talked about this as a team, and it's all public. Well, we've had meetings about this and meetings about that. Of course we talked about stuff like that, but it wasn't broadcasted out to the media like, hey, we're having meetings about this, we're talking about social injustice, and we're talking about race and stuff like that, we would just hash it out in the locker room. Or, I mean, with Coach Someone, if there was a problem, we're going to come together as a team and talk about it. It's not going to be a big, huge deal, but, like you said, it's a lot bigger deal now. And, I see guys going in the right direction, and everybody's trying to do the right thing for social injustice in this country. And, I stand behind it. So, if Jimbo wants to bring everybody together and do a march, I completely support that.
So let's shift back real quick to one more football question, or two more football questions. One that just popped in my mind. You were attached to the offensive line, like you said, more times than not. Is this
Yeah.
A&M offensive line a good run blocking offensive line? I think they've proven that they've made steps in pass blocking, but I don't know if it's a matter of because of the play calling, if we haven't really
Yeah.
seen them yet, or if that is the reason we haven't seen it is because it could be a little bit of a liability.
Yeah, I've seen sparks. There were a couple good runs against Alabama where Hawker would pull or Carson would pull and make some good blocks. I would like to see them get a little bit more push. Their pass pro has been, like you said at the beginning of the show. I mean, I think it's been outstanding, but I'd like to see them get a little bit more push up front. I think they're doing fine. It just kind of they haven't really. I don't know. I mean, we're running zone read and power, and so I don't know. It's kind of hard to see that, especially against Alabama. I mean, it's hard to get pushed against Alabama regardless, but I think they're doing an okay job, and I hope we can establish a run game early against Florida this Saturday.
Yeah, that's what I kind of brought up last week. We had a roundtable, and I'm thinking, man, A&M's got to get a ground game going to chew up the
Absolutely.
clock. And I mean, yeah, you still won time of possession because Alabama was scoring in 2 plays, but um, overall, I thought they were doing pretty well. Travis, I mean, I don't have anything else other than
Let's
just wanting to get Tanner's thoughts on the game.
Yeah,
Just
let's close it out with this. What's your keys to an A&M win, and any kind of prediction that you'll give us?
Oh, so my prediction, let's see. Well, I mean, obviously, I gave y'all my little my note that I brought. Gotta stop 84. That's the number one thing on defense for sure. I'd like to see us blitz a little more, get some pressure on the quarterback, maybe some exotic blitzes, something a little different. I mean, we would bring six or seven guys against Bama, and it just looks like guys are getting blocked up, and we're just running straight. Let's get some twists going, things like that. And then on the offensive side of the ball, like Zach said, let's start early and establish the run, and that'll open up, plays for Kellen to get the ball out and down the field. So let me see. Prediction. I'm obviously. I mean, I love A&M. I think it's going to be like I don't know. I can't say. I want A&M to win, obviously, but I'm not going to give y'all a score because I'll get crap talked to me from both sides.
So does A&M cover?
What is it? 7?
Somewhere 5-7. Yeah.
Golly, yeah. My bookie loves me on Saturdays because I had A&M minus, what was it, like 30 against Vandy, and then plus 18 against Bama, and I'm like, oh yeah, I love both of those. So yeah, of course I'm going to take A&M minus 7, or I'm sorry, plus 7.
Yeah.
Against them. Yeah, of course I'm going to take them, and maybe this time, third time's a charm. We'll see if they can cover.
Well, it's 6.5 right now, just FYI. At least that's what ESPN's saying. So 6.5.
6.5.
Yep.
Oh wow, they got the hook on there. Yeah, I'll probably buy up a point to 7.
Well, it's cool if for some reason they don't cover, you'll just get Christian to cover your.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I need to do. I'll just start betting with him, and then the win-win.
There you go. Tanner, man, I always appreciate any time that you give us, and thanks so much. Enjoy your.
Yeah, absolutely.
Stay sane in quarantine.
Trying to,
and
man.
I'm sure we'll check back with you here pretty soon. That's Tanner Schorp, former A&M tight end, and we'll be back with a little more My Aggie Nation podcast after this.
Thank you, guys.
Awesome. Thanks, bud. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Hey, real quick, I know maybe not this week, but sometime down the line. So next time we have like a day game,
Mhm.
Me and Cease, my boss, do like a post game Zoom breaking down the game. I don't
Yeah.
know what levels of drinking that you're at normally at the end of a game, but I don't know if maybe at one
It
of these,
depends.
yeah, depends on how the game went.
Depends
Yeah.
what the result is.
Yeah, exactly. Depends how we're doing it half.
Yeah.
Golly. Yeah, I could do that, man. If y'all just let me know like a day or two in advance,
Yeah,
I'll do that.
I'll let you know like significantly, and it'll probably be a home game, and it'll probably be one that's a like an 11 or a 2:30. So
Yeah, that'd
we'll
be
let you
cool.
know. Cool.
Cool.
Appreciate it, man.
How do you guys think I did on the social injustice question? I didn't really want to